night, huh? Yeah. Okay, so I want to take you on a little trip. Have you guys ever walked through the catacombs underneath Paris? Yeah, it's nice stuff. Okay, you could walk for miles down there among the remains of over 5 million dead people. And you can walk for a long time, and it's very thought-provoking. But that is just a drop in the bucket compared to the 100 billion people who've already died. And that's kind of depressing, and it seems kind of senseless to me. But not all death is completely senseless. For instance, if you go to war and you die, well, it's kind of expected, right? Sure, right. Yeah, similarly, if your entertainment involves significant known risk and you die, well, come on, you had it coming, right? This is called base jumping. However, what if you choose your skydiving to be indoors? Then you should be able to control your risk profile, and yet still, despite your best intentions, you slowly rot away from the inside and eventually die of some degenerative age-related disease. Don't worry, we'll get to the positive part later. So people are working on this, and that work is called medicine. Unfortunately, medicine so far has been a colossal failure. For anyone born before 1875, actually even 1895, the success rate is 0% for medicine. Complete failure. Not just low percentage, like actually zero. So surely we can do something about this. What are our options? Whoa. Whoa, baby. Okay, one. So, option number one, you can die suddenly, unexpectedly, painlessly. Too bad a way to go, right? Unfortunately, for the people you love and leave behind, for instance, your son or your wife, it's the absolute worst outcome. It's proven to have the highest rates of post-traumatic stress disorder and other stress-related medical disorders and death and problems in your family members. So let's forget about option one. However, option two, which is much better for them, is to slowly, predictably, painfully die of some humiliating chronic disease, which gives them lots of warning. Okay, this is a problem to me. So we've had problems in the past, and we've set ourselves great challenges. For instance, go to another planet, and we decided to do this in 1961 and succeeded in 1969. Pretty impressive. Humankind, awesome. And you could bet that if some astronomer discovered a meteor out in space, a large one on a collision course with Earth, sure to destroy civilization, that we would mount a heroic effort and get some nukes out there on rockets and blow that thing up or steer it away or whatever. These are short-term threats. People are good at that. And indeed, for things like breast cancer, heroic efforts are mounted, people are rallied, and progress is made. Oh, my wife's going to die in 5 years. Oh, my son has leukemia. Examples. That's not my actual life, fortunately, at this moment. So, could there be a third option, however? Fortunately, we are living in times where our tools have progressed from the stone axes to our modern industrial civilization, and now biology is becoming a technology and is bordering on information technology, which is expanding exponentially. So, for the first time in history, we may be able to apply our technologies to modifying our actual selves, what we are made of, and changing our destiny. But what I want to ask you is, would that be such a good idea?
No.
That is a common response. So, people say death is natural, and it's part of all of our ecosystems, and to perturb this could set systems out of balance and cause problems. But we don't consider it natural when, say, a 7-year-old contracts an accelerated aging disease, for instance, progeria, and we throw our technological might into trying to find a solution. So successfully yet. And indeed, humans have modified their lifespan. Over the last 200 years, they've more than doubled their own lifespan. We change things, we build tools, we make farms, we modify our world. We look back on a time when they were doing antibiotics and think, how primitive. Loved ones gathered around, watching someone they care for slowly die of some bacterial disease like cholera or typhoid, the bubonic plague, for which they're easily curable with antibiotics now, but they're just powerless and have to watch them die. So zooming out and extrapolating into the future, I believe we'll look backward onto this time and say, oh, how primitive. These poor people had no anti-aging therapies, and they're just slowly rotting away from the inside with nothing they could do about it, watching their loved ones die. So some people wonder, what about overpopulation? If people are living longer lifespans, doesn't that mean that we're going to get more crowded and use up our resources? No. For instance, look at this chart of all the world's countries. You can see that each country is one of these white dots. And on the vertical scale, there is fertility rate, which is the number of children that are born per woman. And on the horizontal scale is the gross domestic product, which is a proxy for the degree of wealth, access to resources, medical care, food, etc., that the people in these countries have. At the poor extreme, we have Niger, with a fertility rate of 8 children per woman. And it is countries like these who are also very populous that bring up the world average, which is that black dot in the center, just enough above that green line, which is the steady state replacement rate for world population, that our globe is experiencing such rapid population increase. At the other extreme, we have Switzerland, with approximately 1.5 children born per woman, and it's representative of most industrialized Western nations. And if all of the world were at that fertility rate, then the world population would be falling twice as fast as it's growing today. So you can see that population growth is really much more of a socioeconomic problem than it is a medical problem. And indeed, if you ask, if I ask my woman friends when they plan to have a baby, these days the answer I get is, well, basically the last moment that I can have a baby. Maybe I have procrastinator friends like myself. But I believe that as technologies that defer ill health and prolong life continue to advance, that women will continue to defer their childbearing years to later and more convenient decades. And those will be decades during which they are still feeling and looking young. And I'm not talking about being in the Greek myth of Tithonus, where we continue to grow older and older and older, yet more and more decrepit and feeble. I'm not talking about life extension, per se. What I'm talking about is health extension, in which, even as the years accumulate, we retain physical and mental abilities to do whatever crazy and fun things we would like to do with our bodies. So there are a lot of aging theories. Most of which are correct simultaneously, as there are a lot of aging mechanisms. Dr. Aubrey de Grey of the SIMS Foundation describes aging in a very simple terms, summarized as there being metabolism, which is the process of normal bodily functioning, which then gives rise to damage that accumulates at cellular and molecular level, and eventually, after crossing some thresholds, produces pathology, basically bad things happening. Okay, and then geriatrics can be simplified as the process of trying to hold back the pathologies that result from the damage. And gerontology is the process of preventing the damage from occurring in the first place by meddling with metabolism. Unfortunately, metabolism is super, super complex, and just this tiny subset of the metabolism of just one cell in a body is represented here, and unfortunately this is a process that is a noble one that may benefit our children's children, but is a long and difficult road. An intermediate solution, which a number of people are working on, is to repair the damage as it occurs, or periodically, to prevent it from building up to the point where it produces pathology. Okay, so ever since the human genome was sequenced, in the 2000s, it's become clear and that biology is becoming an information science. And as we know, information sciences have been growing exponentially. And this is a chart of the world's fastest supercomputers over time. And you can see on the vertical scale, every horizontal white line is 10 times faster. And then we have years on the bottom. And right around now, this is expected to be the time when it's been very predictably increasing growth. And now is expected to be the time that a computer can simulate at least the computational capacity of the human brain, which remains constant. And these will continue growing exponentially over time.